Hello and welcome to 5 and 5, where we take 5 minutes to ask industry leaders one of 5 questions, depending on the spinning wheel category. So today we have Cécile Gasnault with us. Cécile is the marketing manager at Smile Makers. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Natasha. Lovely to be here. Really excited about those 5 questions.
Well, let's see what they are. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we will spin the spinning wheel of categories. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Business for good.
Awesome. Love the topic.
It is a good topic. So, Cécile, first things first, do you think that all businesses should be businesses for good?
Yes, I think ultimately all businesses should hold themselves accountable for their impact on society, their employees, their customers, and on the planet. So, I don't think all businesses should be charities, but all businesses should be for good.
And what role do you think brand should play now in the world? Or perhaps we could, specifically talk about Smile Makers. You have a distinctive message.
Yes.
What role does your brand play in the world?
So Smile Makers, we are a sexual wellness brand. We create vibrators and lubricants that are sold only in mainstream retail. And for us, the role that we see for ourselves is how do we normalize the conversation around female sexuality? So how do we bring it out in the open? How do we develop a language that allows people to be comfortable talking about it, to educate themselves, and to change mindsets around a very stigmatized topic. So I think brands should play a role in those big conversations, and they can play a role. They have the means to create content, have influential spokesperson, moderate the conversation, and they can set an example as well. As a sexual wellness brand, we're being mindful about the language elements that we use, how are you inclusive? How do you reflect different experiences of gender and of sexuality? So yeah, that's the role I think brands should play.
Fantastic. And Cécile, if you were granted one wish for good, what would you wish for?
I wish that it was as profitable to be a business for good as to be a careless business. That I think that would make everything much easier.
So changing the focus and people's, thought process when they're buying, for them to make them more considerate in what they consume.
I think is already on the way. I think people are becoming much more mindful about how they buy, what they buy, who they are buying from, and I see this more as a business perspective. Those are a lot of businesses' decisions that go into maybe going for less profitability and more ethical decisions and things that you think are the right thing to do. But I think if we aim for all businesses to apply that within the logic that we have today, which is how do we maximize profits, then my wish, if I could see Aladdin's genius, would be, can you make it as profitable to be a business for good as to be another
it's just that so many people, I guess, prize convenience over, because at the end of the day, it will be that there are things that are going to be made cheaper, and people want to they don't necessarily want to spend more or can't to get those things. And if there is something that's a lot cheaper but it's been made by in a sweatshop, or someone that's being paid little, so it almost has to come from the top down, doesn't it? And these things can't exist, because ultimately, if those convenient items are there, people are always going to, or they're not educated enough to understand, or they actually just can't. So it's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. What socially conscious business do you admire most?
I don't have a big brand name to give you, because I think the businesses I admire the most are like those very small businesses that we don't know because they're super local and they're trying to
That's
be
right.
very ethical, or they do things, they're trying to be very eco-friendly. So I'm thinking about, in France, we have, local farmers who are trying to be to use only clean methodology to grow crops, to create really like good organic food and bring it to wet markets on a weekly basis in France, and they have a very tough life. But the result is that they bring great products of great quality and they make a good use of their land, and nobody knows about them.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Okay. Are you familiar with the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
Yes, some of them.
So they are doing a pledge, and companies can join them to try, and there are 17 goals that they're trying to achieve, and two really important ones are good health and well-being and quality education. Do you of those, or of the 17 different pledges, are there any that really stand out that you think would be the one that we should tackle first and foremost?
I think the ones you said, quality education, that one I think is a game changer. And history has already shown that when you give access to education to boys and girls in equal access, then you really change the demographics of the country, the economic fundamentals of the country, the health foundations of the country as well. People who are better educated are more likely to take good care of their health and be properly equipped to do so. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time, Cécile.
Pleasure.
Been lovely talking to you.
Likewise.
This has been 5 and 5.
Thanks, Natasha.